Welcome to Creatacast with your host, David Welch. So, in today's episode, it's the in-between episode of the week. I was going to do it tomorrow, but I'm going to go ahead and do it today. That way we get time to get submissions. And that's what I'm asking for Friday. Friday, the show will be when I land in Vegas, a little bit after I land in Vegas. And the intention is to do a full show, a 45-minute show, with poetry readings, fiction readings, and a little bit of my own work will get out there as well. Probably a new poem for the newly written book that is almost completed, and it is called My Streaming Life, or Our Streaming Lives. I have toyed with the title a little bit, but essentially it'll be from that book. Now, the format that I would like these submissions, please send it to my email, dwelch9627@gmail.com. I would like the submissions to be up to 10 pages. You could do poetry, fiction, creative nonfiction, and I would really like quicker stories. Of course, I would love flash fiction, shorter stories. It doesn't really have to be contained into a genre. You can write multiple genres. I will read the work in a live broadcast on Friday. Please submit a brief biography with your submissions. That way I can read them on air. If you don't want me to read your biography on air, please include a message saying so. The format of your submissions will be in Microsoft Word, or you can send them in PDF. And it has to be legible, 12-point font, Times New Roman. Or you can send Arial font, which is pretty easy to read. Please no crazy font that I won't be able to decipher and read clearly and legibly on air. So Creatacast, right now the mission is to take on submissions and prepare for Friday's show. Now, not everybody who submits will be selected. I will choose probably my top 5 and read those. And mind you, we do have a 45-minute show to get through. So if I can get through as many submissions as possible, I will do so. I would love a text-in, call-in Q&A. That'd be awesome. But if that doesn't happen, then, I totally understand. So I will be contacting the selected authors who I choose to read on air. And if they are available Friday during the time I will be in Vegas, then we will discuss calling in and doing a Q&A. You'll answer some standard questions that I have already prepared for you. And think of it as kind of like inside the actor's studio, but inside the artist's studio. So I'll be asking questions pertaining to your craft, not so much the biographical information, but work about, or, information about the writing process, your creative process, and the genesis of your work. So, like I said, please do not limit yourself to poetry or just fiction. You can dabble in a little. Please send me unpublished work. If it is published in another medium afterwards, fine, but I'm looking for the raw talent. I'm looking for those who are previously unpublished in another domain. That way I can get their work out there. Now, as time goes on with Creatacast, my hope, dream, and intention is to create an online magazine for the month, and those who have been selected each week will make it into the magazine. Now, that is something I'm still working on, something I'm still trying to put together and get focused on. As long as, I can make it work, that'll move in that direction. That way, those authors are getting the distribution they need, and I'll create a Facebook page specifically for Creatacast here shortly. But please, listen to the podcast, share the podcast. I will be going live Friday, and I am asking for submissions. So please limit yourself to one submission if you can. I want, and I'm looking for 10 pages. If you have 10 pages of poetry, 10 pages of fiction, 10 pages of creative nonfiction. Now, If it's separate stories, fantastic. Separate each story or poem on their own page. If it's all jumbled together, I will read it together. So make sure it's separated or delineated in some way. Okay? Now, I'm currently not reading chapters of a previously unpublished book you have out there because I don't want to ruin the continuity of your book. Okay? I want complete short stories. I want complete poetry. Now, if you have a currently shopped poem and you're wanting to get it out there, that's fine. If your poetry has not been shopped, that's okay too. Your listeners will probably give you feedback in some sort of way. Okay? Now, if it's okay with you, the audience, and you're doing your submissions in your biography, if you allow me to publish your or vocalize your name and email for the show, then we will, open it up for maybe some creative feedback on your poem. And if somebody wants to then purchase your poem or contact you for the poem, you can set it up between them. Okay? I don't want to monetize your work for you. All right? I'm not monetizing my work. Now, I will tell you that my work is available on Amazon. I do have books on Amazon. I have a play currently, a book of poetry, and a collection of fiction stories. And I'm working on a poetry book that'll be submitted within the next 100 days, and a fiction novel, a young adult literature fiction novel, that will be submitted within the next 100 days. So whether that's, immediately next month or March, we will look at that a little bit closer in the time to come. So I'm excited for the show. I'm excited to see where this goes. And, we can move forward from there. Please enjoy the content of Creatacast. And since we're here and since we're in the belly of the beast, so to speak, I'll go ahead and read a poem and one of the short stories. One of the short stories will be from Hell's Waiting Room, and one of the poems will be from the new book coming out, Our Streaming Life. Getting it all set up here. Now, for those of you, and I mentioned this in the previous Creatacast, if you have a recording of you reading your poetry and want that recording of your voice being sent out in the airwaves, totally cool. I'm down. Send it to me, and I'll get it out there. All right. So this poem is Walter White Elegy. It's called Fuck Cancer, Walter White. You brave certain doom, like a samurai before seppuku. A Ronin, magician, conjuring blue euphoria. Fuck cancer, Walter. You took a diagnosis and became the answer. A chemist. Tortuga wrote a desert tortoise. Pinkman got a life. And some chicken making assholes got their just desserts. In the desert. Oh, Walter. Brave the hereafter. You set things right. You dismantled people's laughter and broke bad for the good of your family and your hood. Forgive no one, for a desperate man knows no bounds, no conquered land does he forfeit to thugs with or without badges. Sick, terminally ill, and no fucking help shafted by former colleagues, but you reap the benefits of your belt tightening around Hank's career. Fuck cancer, Walt. Fuck Gus. Fuck Tuco. Fuck Mike. Fuck Saul. Fuck anyone in a dying man's way to secure a future for his family. And that is my Walter White elegy. If you have not seen the show, Breaking Bad, please do so. It is a hell of a show. And I encourage you to get into the trenches and enjoy it. Now, the second reading I'm going to do is from Hell's Waiting Room. And it is going to be a short story titled The Tech Guy. It is the second story in the book, Hell's Waiting Room and Other Stories. Getting ready to get into it just now. I'm trying to get it all open. Like I said, I usually want to have this prepared before the show, but I have been really not good at doing that. And do look forward to maybe a midweek submission show where I ask for submissions if I don't have a lot coming in. Again, the email that you're going to want to submit to is dwelch. So Delta, Whiskey, Echo, Lima, Charlie, Hotel, 9627 at gmail.com. And please, in the subject heading, put Creatacast. That way I know you're submitting it for. What you're submitting it for. Of course, leave me a little brief biography and the answer to the question yes or no if I'm able to read your name and information online so people can look to you to either publish or for publication of the poem or for a copy of the poem, and that'll be at your discretion. Okay? So let's take a look at the Tech Guy. Again, this is available on Amazon right now, Kindle and print book. Often, I consider myself very intelligent and very bright, but in further reflection, I realize that I'm a glorified fix-it man. People think I'm an evil genius behind the door marked IT department. But the reality is watching monitors, running programs, and playing an egregious amount of video games. Meanwhile, there are people out there on phones making money for the company, bringing in their entire year's salary in one client. The math works out to one client over the span of 4 years spending upwards of $75,000 in those 4 years. Oftentimes they bring in several clients a day and hundreds throughout the year. The CEO and other executives have bloated their salaries to $500,000 a year, while everyone else scrapes by at $35K a year, feeding, clothing, and providing for their families. As for myself, I feel somewhat accomplished, 25 years old, making $65K a year, with certifications only. The employees are required to hold a bachelor's degree, and more than most have a master's degree. Inbox 1. My outlook says that there are a few computers to come run diagnostics. Up I go, putting down the controller and navigating the aisles of upset employees, seeing the bewildered look from their managers. The managers make $55K and in today's age, barely enough to keep afloat. But according to the company, they're doing great. Hey, let's just run a few things and see what the problem is. The guy's desk is filthy. But I noticed the pictures of his children pinned to the side with one enclosed, a crude paper frame. He's balding, obese, sweating even though the temperature is a cool 70 degrees in the building, and casting his gaze to his manager, making hand gestures in mock frustration. As possibly the first break he's had all day. His shoes are really worn, clothes in a state of professional disarray, meaning untucked and frayed in some areas. Come on, guy. I am one goose egg away from being tossed on the street. Not easy living hand to mouth. I continue working, but acknowledge what he said by nodding. All done. He sits back down and starts furiously typing to get back into his queue. I go back to my fridge and sit down to play some more video games. I feel like a genie, only someone to grant the company's wishes. Other guys in the tech field have sweet gigs like I do. Others, especially ITT tech grads, get screwed over. They often take jobs at help desk making $15 an hour, and at night work at gas stations and restaurants to provide for their family. Seeing the banality of life in the office space feels stupid. But how else can one pay for our livelihood? I mean, I travel, go out at night, and run a side business selling weed to college kids that I grow in a double-insulated greenhouse 40 miles away. To feel superior, I follow Elon Musk on Twitter, read tech magazines, create fictitious arguments with some of the best minds in technology, declaring that I'd thought of the idea 10 years ago but never acted on it. Inbox 2. Someone's computer screen went black. Had to go plug it back in and reseat the user. I love being the tech guy. And that is the tech guy from my book, Hell's Waiting Room and Other Stories. Okay. So I do, in the book, I do dabble in historical fiction a little bit as well. I get into more darker content throughout. Some are snarky, some are more combative. So if you like what I've read so far, please check out the books. And the Our Streaming Life book will be out in December, probably late December, probably before Christmas though. So I will keep moving in on that angle and let you guys know where I land. Now, for the holidays, for Creatacast, especially during the Christmas holidays, I still intend to keep the show going on a weekly basis and even do a holiday show. So, for this week, I want to keep the submissions pretty consistent. You can still submit whatever you like. But for the month of December, the submissions are going to look more like holiday submissions. So I want stories, whether they take place wherever they take place, poetry wherever it's done in any kind of context, but I want it to relate to the holidays in some way. So that's for the month of December. Since we're still in the month of November, you can still submit any poem, fiction, or nonfiction you like, as long as it's 10 pages I can review. Make sure it's 12-point font, Times New Roman or Arial, that's fine. And get those submissions to me. Or make sure you have your work recorded. That way you can get it vocalized here on the show. Now, my entire show is generally a 45-minute long show. I'll be doing more readings and content like that. But because this is I'm asking for submissions, it's going to be a much shorter show. And mind you, Friday, Las Vegas time, I'll be kicking out the show. And if I can give you guys any advanced warning, it'll be after I fly in, which will be sometime around 1 or 2 p.m. So let me know about the submissions. Please get them to me. I will review them, and we will go over which ones will be read on air, and I will send you a response if your submission will be read. Okay? And for the month of December, if I do get the magazine or the online journal up and going, I will work towards getting that completed, and I will find a link so that everybody can review that and disseminate that. Okay? So let me work on things. Let's keep Creatacast going. Share with your friends. I know this is currently a live show, but ensure that people jump on, give me a listen. If you do feel inclined to hear more of my work or see more of my work, please don't hesitate to buy Hell's Waiting Room and Other Stories on Kindle or print paperback. And please support your author if they are up and coming and they have previously unpublished work, or they're just got their first book out there. Help them out. Buy the book. Read it. Give them honest feedback. Okay? And please, for the most part, give me a review on Amazon, or give them a review on Amazon so we can have that positive feedback out there in the world. All right. Thank you for listening to today's Creatacast with your host, David Welch. Have a wonderful day.